So we got Jon Kessler in the studio.
Hi.
Welcome. Jon Kessler was Gandalf teacher in Colombia.
Graduate school.
A very important teacher to Gandalf.
That's right.
To all of us.
Gandalf went to Bard undergrad. Everyone probably knows that. And studied with Judy Pfaff, who he adored, and always talked to me about how amazing Judy Pfaff was. I always felt, Judy is amazing, so I always felt a little bit like I'm not worthy around Gandalf. But so Gandalf was in the graduate program at Columbia. What are you guys talking about?
And how was he as a student? Can you tell a bit? And you're a sculptor. He's also did sculpture. And how did you?
Yeah.
You both men.
Well, he was much more of a man than I was, and then I will much more of a man than I will ever be. So, the thing about Gandalf was that he was so Promethean in his material experimentation, and I remember the thing he was always using so many more materials than we had, or like the production that he had so far exceeded the facilities that we had. So I remember the roof of Prentice, which was already kind of difficult to access because we had facilities on our ass about using it, and I remember one day going up there, and there was Gandalf basically stripped down to his underwear, and he was making mirrors out of, hey Lior, I don't even remember the process, but it was basically he was using silver and painting it onto the glass that he had melted in his own kiln in Brooklyn, and he had slumped over these forms, and so it was already like these enormous 8-foot by 6-foot pieces of glass that he was then turning into mirrors, with chemicals and minerals and heavy metals, and he was spraying, and I was just like, I opened the door, I looked out, I saw Gandalf doing that, and I just closed the door. And I said, I didn't see this, and I walked away. Because it was against all the rules, and I just didn't, it was like, if I didn't see it, then I didn't see it. And it was much better that way, because I really loved the idea that Gandalf was making these enormous mirror pieces that, that was the way he made them. That was where he could make them, and I wasn't going to get in the way. Yeah.
Did he challenge you as a student or as an artist?
Yeah, he challenged me as an artist for sure. It's I would say, I really think about it was not the last time I saw him, but it was one of the last time I spent a lot of time with him. It was when Ronnie and Gandalf came over to my studio to do the DOS video. And we had no script. I don't know if the rest of the videos had scripts. It was just like, it was something that we had thought about very loosely. It was sort of like, oh yeah, we'll do it. It'll be great, and so Gandalf came, and Ronnie came to the studio with some equipment, and Gandalf had a big bottle of whiskey, and we started to jam. We just started to really improvise this process, and drink the whiskey and play the music, and put on these masks and go out on the street and wear togas and strip down, and I realized at that point that what I really sort of got from Gandalf was this sense of like embracing the unknown, and embracing the improvisational, and embracing the expressive. And that's something that I think we've kind of lost a little bit, the art of, and the ability to do. And when I was in high school, I was in lots of jam bands, and so it's sort of in me it's in my DNA, but it's not something I do too often and often enough, and I think Gandalf was able to really do it. That said, I really saw the sort of the dynamics between Ronnie and Gandalf that night. It was like Ronnie had to, man the machines and the cameras and sort of like focus the cameras and make sure that we were running, and Gandalf was like totally the irresponsible boy child, and I sort of got how wonderful and how complicated that person was, that night, watching him work, because he really was, he was so irresponsible and so fantastic, and that combination of the two.
But that irresponsibility is what he's paid to do. That's what we want from him, and we kind of egged it on a little bit.
Yeah. And he loved it, and he sort of took it on, and it was, he just sort of, he expanded, like if you gave him an inch, he took a mile. And
That was actually a great evening, and by the way, Jon did the video for Bravery that I read the lyrics to and played, about the two people eating each other on the spacecraft. We haven't released the video yet, but it'll be soon. But it's fantastic.
So how many videos have you released?
One.
Just Rona's? Okay.
The first
that's the best. That's the best one.
Well, here's the thing. Because we thought about, because we want to have an exhibit with it, but we don't want to just like release them all. Then it's old news, right? But if we do it one every week, it would take 6 months.
Yeah.
There's 25 of them.
Oh yeah.
So we might do that, and I don't know. Maybe by the time 6 months rolls around, people forget about the first one.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I have to say that when I did the video with Gandalf and Ronnie, I was in such a bad time in my life. I was so depressed, and I didn't want to do it. I really didn't want to do it. But Gandalf, as always, took me under his wing. He was like a brother to me, like really a person who always took care of me. And he insisted I will do it, and I didn't have an idea, and I didn't want to tell them that I don't have an idea, actually, that I really don't have an idea for the video, and I tried to postpone it all the time, but in some point he just, okay, let's do it. So every time we did it in chapters, in parts, the opposite.
There's a lot of locations in your video.
The opposite, because I didn't have an idea. What can I do?
Right.
I told him, listen, I need an 8mm camera. So I tried to complicate everything, so everything will take more time. And we got an 8mm camera, and then, every time I came there and I just brought some stuff and like thrown them all my shit, actually, and they got it. They really, really embraced everything and participated in everything, and suddenly, step by step, we became happy again.
Well, there's something that I told you the other day, but I didn't tell you at the time. Because I woke up late to that shoot, to Rona's shoot. I never make people mad doing this, you know me. But I woke up late. I called Gandalf. I was like, okay, I'm on my way. He's like, no, take your time. In fact, can you stop at these stores? And he gave me errands to run. And I said, yeah, but isn't the shoot right now? No, it's okay. Just get this stuff. So I went and got the stuff.
I really sitting in his studio, it's freezing cold, and I'm like, what the fuck? Where's Ronnie? Come on, it's wasting my time here.
Gandalf put me on errands, and I got there, and Rona had left, the crew had left, everyone was mad at me, and I thought, but you told me to get this stuff. He's like, look, Rona wasn't in a good place, so we weren't going to work with her. But that day, he was looking out for you.
What was of that video, what was the first shoot, what was the first location shoot?
Oh, no, I came and Ronnie was not there, so I shot Gandalf, talking, and it was just a testing. No, the testing was done another day. We got the camera, and I shot him also dancing naked in the street with the fur, but unfortunately, he didn't come out. But he did everything, he was so, genuine and really He really trusts, and we did a lot of things together, and I thought that we will do more in our lifetime. I really thought that it's only the beginning of our, even though I know him for 8 years, but still.
Well, so the other story that I just want to tell is the last time I saw Gandalf, which is So, there's a kind of a rite of passage for every young artist is to get a Guggenheim grant. And usually when you apply for a Guggenheim grant, you notify the people that the recommenders, the people you want to write letters for you. And that's kind of a normal thing to do. And so I got a letter in the mail saying, Gandalf Gavan is a finalist for the Guggenheim grant, and you've been notified. You're one of the recommenders. And so I was like, what the fuck? He never called me. He never told me that he wanted me to write a letter for him. So I call him, and I've never seen Gandalf so kind of. He reverted back to like a little boy, a kind of like almost like, oh my God, I am so sorry. I can't believe I did that. I will never do it again. I will never do it again. Are you going to write the letter? I am so sorry. And literally the next day he came over with a bottle of really amazing scotch and 2 glasses. And we just sort of talked it out and talked about, the sort of the responsibility of what it's like to ask people to write letters and and it was like, he was so apologetic at the same time. He was so sort of knew that he had fucked up, and it was just a really, really sweet kind. It was probably about a week before he died. It was just a really, really, or maybe 2 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, very, very sweet moment of just me. I really felt like his professor at that time. Unlike the shoot that we did together, where I felt like a colleague, I felt like an equal, and with both you and him. But at that time, I really felt like I was the heavy.
Well,
I was the heavy, kind of like teaching Gandalf a life lesson.
Yeah, you're disciplining him, and that's one thing.
Yeah.
He knew how to apologize really well. Because he screwed up so much.
No, but I think the first thing that we did is the rollerblades, the skates.
Oh yeah.
I think.
What's that suit he's wearing? Is that like a 70s roller?
I don't know. I have
suit?
costumes, and I have I'm collecting stuff. I have stuff, so I brought it, and it's very easy. Nothing really. But I didn't know that he's such a good skater.
Right.
I didn't know. I mean, I was just thinking, okay, probably it will be a mess, and he turned to be an amazing skater. Wow, man, you rock. You skate. And all the concept is about returning to childhood and be, kids and play, and that's really a lot what he was talking about. Like to make art, making art as playing versus playing, like to combine these two things together. I think I have it actually.
Oh, you have a clip of him saying that?
I think so.
Well, because actually, I always thought of our project together, Gandalf and my project together, as really an excuse to hang out with each other. Ultimately, is what it was, and have fun. Mm-hmm. And I think that energy is there.
Yeah,
totally.
Yeah. Well, there's that moment in your video when you do the tattoo. It's amazing. It's amazing. And then all of a sudden, he's got like some crazy haircut that just seems so extreme. And
he prepared. Yeah.
And and the thing about him and his sculpture and his materials is that everything he did was sort of, if you return that back to a kind of a childlike, playing with mud pies, playing with Play-Doh, playing with things as a kid, he really, he was bigger and he was more muscular and he had to use more power and maybe like a foundry to do it, but everything had to do with this transformation of material. And it was very much, it very much stemmed from being a child.
Yeah, he was a giant kid.
Yeah, he was a giant kid.
With that love, too.
Yeah. Okay, this is John again. I just wanted to say one more thing, which it strikes me when I'm hearing these songs and thinking about Gandalf and thinking about the art he made and the way he sort of moved through the world physically, that the physical body of Gandalf is is kind of almost like a throwback, and a throwback that I think that there's a lot of fear of in terms of this sort of almost expressionist artist. You know, he wasn't, I mean, yes, he probably was, you know, macho, but he wasn't the model of the 50s expressionist artist, but he was so deeply involved with his art and the world physically. And I think that what strikes me when thinking about him is how detached we are from that at this point, that the sort of the model of the ideal artist is someone who doesn't even touch their work, or the sort of the studio as production is kind of like a clean factory. And Gandalf is really, everything about him was so deeply sort of sooty and Industrial Revolution and you know, muscular and sweaty and stinky. Gandalf was really stinky. And that's what I loved about him. And that's what I miss about him.